The DNVR Sports Podcast. I always forget what TDSP is because we call it TDSP internally, and you see the graphic there. Presented by Broncos Country. You know what time it is on this special Tuesday in the Mile High City with my guy, RK, and Big Hank here. It's been a long time.
It has.
It's been a long time, boys.
Do you think the last tailgate episode of last year is the last time the three of us did a show together?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think there's been much crossover in any other endeavors we've had.
No. Hey, and there's a bottle of whiskey and 6 beers on the table.
some
if we want to just
Broncos
turn it up for
country.
old time's sake.
I've got to go on Albuquerque Sports Radio here in like a couple hours, so
They no.
I gotta.
You drunk would sound like sober to them.
In
Wow.
Albuquerque, they prefer.
I'll pass that along. Double check those for
It's
you.
preferred. Yeah.
Can you spell Albuquerque?
ALBUQUERQUE.
Got it.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep. Oh, of course.
I actually took last place in the 4th grade spelling bee, like dead last, and it was like the entire 4th grade like had to do it. It was mandatory because the word was dance, and so I was like D, and then I was like thought through my head like ANCE, but then I got to E right as I meant to say A. I said E, and I was like,
ENCE is what you said?
yeah, but then I said E, and I was like, well, shit, like.
That's sad.
I was like, I guess I have to just keep going, even though I don't know.
No, you can just say, let me start over.
No, they don't. They were very clear. It was like official rules. Like what you say goes. Like there's no take
No
backs.
backs. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So I
no
took last
backsies.
place in that spelling bee. I was the favorite going in too.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
what an
crazy.
upset.
Yeah.
You were on the inside track and everything.
Yeah. It was a shame.
I
Did
got
you get-
second place in the 4th grade spelling bee, and it changed my life
Really.
Wow.
because now I'm like now I know how to spell everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
You are a good speller. No spelling bees in Italy, and I famously have real issues with spelling. So
Yeah.
lose for me.
A lot of Italy talk today.
Did you get threats from any of the guys who placed money on you as the big favorite in the 4th grade spelling bee?
No. I'm
That's
trying
great.
to think. Miss
That's great.
Paget. No.
What sportsmanship?
Miss Myatt. No. No, I don't think any of the. No.
It feels a lot like a tailgate show in that we're supposed to talk about a Broncos team that's not playing such good football.
Also in last place.
And we don't
would,
want to.
We would literally rather talk about anything else, including 4th grade spelling bees.
Yeah, that's true. Fair takes all around.
Thanks. Yeah.
And we're really good at talking about other things than what we're supposed to.
Life
Yeah.
is one big circle and it all reconnects. But is this rock bottom for the Broncos, Ryan?
Oh, Dre. I wish I could say yes.
I would love it if you said yes, in fact.
I have learned my lesson on
Yeah.
saying something is rock bottom for the
Yeah.
Broncos. So I'm just going to keep saying no from here on out because I have a better chance of being right than if I say yes. Because if you go on to thednvr.com right now and open the search bar and just type in rock bottom,
Such a good site.
you will see so many podcasts that Zach and I have done over the years, and Henry and Mace and whoever else was on the cast, where we ask that same question. Is this rock bottom? And every time we said yes, I'm pretty sure. And every time we were wrong because no rock has sunk as far as that rock sank on Sunday afternoon.
Which is why this actually is rock bottom.
Okay.
There's no way that it's not. Like, so you have whatever, the 5 years of like, we're a quarterback away. You just get a quarterback. So then you get the quarterback, that doesn't work. You're like, oh, well, now we're just a coach away. Now you got the quarterback, you got the coach, you've got the same team that you've had forever. Still doesn't work. Can't really get any worse. Like this is like, no, the plan does not work. You kind of have to start all over. And on top of that, you just gave up 70 points, like not NFL record, but second place. And you're like, you lost by 50. Like this has to be rock bottom.
So, right. I mean, that result is pretty awful.
Let me ask you this. What looks worse? The score line of 70-20 or saying out loud they lost by 50?
70-20. I think that 70
by
grabs
a mile,
me. Yep.
By a mile.
Something about the 20 just makes it not as bad to me.
Okay. I mean, it's because of all those 16s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For me, like hearing when you said they lost by 50,
Right.
it just like hit different for me. It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Lost by 50.
Well,
Like you pointed this out on Twitter. It was supposed to be a dunk on the Buffs, kind of, but you said CU's largest margin of error last year was 46. CU,
Yeah.
maybe the worst football team I've ever seen in my life.
definitely for me.
Last
And I've
season-
seen a lot of bad football.
Never lost a game by 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I even went
Yeah.
back. It was like, you have to go back to 2013. They lost one by like 51 or 53. So I was like, as we're watching that
Let me
Oregon
guess,
game, it's
Arizona.
like you're climbing in there, like it's realm of possibility. But they dodged
And
it.
it didn't end up even being close, but
No.
46 was the worst last year. Losing a game by 50 points is shocking in college.
Yeah, no, I mean, and something I never
yeah.
imagined I would ever see in the NFL. I'll throw up the dub. Yeah, of course. What's that in reference to?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking about Gunnison off camera, so that almost made me think. that
Yeah, we're
Western-
talking about the transition moving from
Western Colorado.
Milan to Gunnison.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. So,
So what do you think, Dre? Is it rock bottom or not?
well, so what Henry's saying is you hope that last Sunday is rock bottom because I was doing some laundry during the game, kind of started at pregame, going to get to it at halftime. I was happy when the laundry machine overflowed and flooded a little bit of the basement because now I had a reason to not watch the Broncos.
yeah.
I don't anticipate, that's pretty unique. I do
70-20.
love
I mean,
football.
it is scorigami.
Like
It
that
was a
scorigami. I mean,
Unique.
that game's
Quite
in.
unique.
Hopefully that's rock bottom.
One of
but
one.
I fear that Ryan may be right because the only path forward is truly tearing this whole thing down. And when you do that, I kind of think they have to be this bad for like the rest of the season and another year-ish.
Oh, I mean, like if the plan is tear us down, you're shooting for 2026.
Yeah.
Like
They
the
don't-
3-year rebuild is kind of best case.
They won't do it. It'll
I
never
think
happen.
it's more of a
Well,
2-year.
and my thing with all that is that I'm always against it because it's never worked before. Like no team has ever torn down. Like you go back, and I guess like this Curd era, it's too soon to say like didn't work with Trevor Lawrence, didn't work with Joe Burrow. But like you go back before that, and like Peyton Manning did it as like the #1 pick. Like you got a Super Bowl out of that guy. I'm not really sure if they were like intentionally tearing things apart, but this whole like going back down to the bones and rebuilding it up. I can't find a single example of that ever working, though, and so that's why I've always been against it. But now you're in this situation where it's like there's no real other path forward.
Well,
I feel like the
football has
Eagles kind of came out of the ashes-ish in this way.
Win.
I mean, from the dream team and Andy Reid, like...
Okay.
I
with
think
Chip
there's
Kelly
like a
tore it
few...
down.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few steps, right?
Yeah.
Then you
It
hit
was
real
never
rock
totally-
bottom.
Well,
Yeah,
there's too many players on a football roster for that to work.
exactly.
You can't go from 0. You can actually never get from 0 to 100.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like if you tear it down to 0, it's not possible. Even with all those draft picks, you're gonna miss on half of them to build back up to 100. So you can go down to a certain level. I mean, the Broncos could trade Justin Simmons and a couple other people, but you can't go to 0 and then get back to wherever you were trying to get because it's too hard to hit in the draft. So you have to keep players like Patrick Surtain, and you have to keep, the Quinn Miners of the world. You have to build on top of them. Like you added Marvin Mims. There's a chance that ends up being like the only dog you got out of that class.
definitely.
And it's just not going to work to tear it down and try to build back up. So I I know that's like a fun.
And tearing it down means free agency, and it means, you'll have guys who just out of sheer opportunity pop and go off. Like
The thing
the
about-
NFL rebuilds are much quicker than we think. Even 3 years seems a little long. Like I think it's really 2.
I'm just comping it to like the NBA. If you want to rebuild in the NBA, that's like really easy. You trade like 3 players.
Yep.
yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
down to the bones, and you're going to get a top 5 pick.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, it's just with their cap situation next year.
Exactly.
Like, what is the path forward? If not cutting all these vets and trading them away.
And here's the example: is that like you want the total teardown, which I do think if things go the way they're going right now, you're not going to really have much of a choice but to do that. So say you like cut or trade all these guys: Bowles, Simmons, Cortland Sutton, Randy Gregory, Tim Patrick, DJ Jones. That leaves you with $14.5 million in cap space next year going into the
just
offseason.
nothing.
That's what you go into.
Nothing.
Yeah, and
That's with Russ gone too, right?
Russ, it doesn't matter. You pay him the same thing whether he's there or not.
Okay, so
So-
whether he's a July
Yeah.
cut or whenever the
Exactly.
date is or not, it doesn't matter.
And that's kind of the whole other discussion is what do you do with Russ? Because he's played up to his contract this season, which is an insane thing to say, but I was running through all the numbers and
His
it's like,
numbers are the same as Patrick Mahomes.
like literally,
Yes.
like you go through and it's the
That's
exact
wild.
same. Like the one difference is that you've got, might as well run through 791 passing yards for Russ, 803 for Mahomes, 7.6 yards per attempt for Russ, 7.5 for Mahomes, 65.4 completion versus 65.5, 6 touchdowns to 7, 2 interceptions each. And both have an exactly 99.5 passer rating. Like you go through and Russ
insane.
is the number 5 highest paid quarterback in the league. The only one of the 4 in front of him who's outplayed him is Justin Herbert. But outside of that, Lamar Jackson has not outplayed him. It's not really all that close. Same thing with Hurts. Same thing with Burrow. And so you're getting what you wanted. Like you go through, he's 5th in touchdowns, he's 6th in yards per attempt and completion, 7th in air yards per attempt, 7th in pass rating, 8th in yards. And while you're looking for like number 5, you have to remember those guys on rookie contracts who haven't set that rookie
Yeah.
So if you just go through guys who are off their rookie contract, he's 3rd in touchdowns. He's 2nd in yards per completion, 4th in yards per attempt, 5th in air yards per attempt. No, 4th, sorry. 5th in passer rating, 6th in yard. Like, he's doing what you want him to do, but you still kind of have to move on just because the timeline doesn't add up.
Well, there's just no point in being a 3, 6, 7 win team with a contract like that on your books.
But
Period.
the contract's going to be on the books regardless.
The
for two-
contract is on the books regardless.
for 2 years.
So
And
that's
how
the
much
thing,
cap
though.
do they have if they don't cut all those guys?
Negative 30.
So one
Can
way
I-
or another, what we're saying is this is the best this team's going to be with Russell Wilson.
Can I
Yeah.
quickly make the case for the best case scenario? Mm-hmm. Which is that things keep going this bad this year. You are able to draft Caleb Williams, and you actually can hold on to Russ and ease Caleb in.
The thing about that Russ
Yeah,
contract, though,
yeah.
is that the extension starts next year, which is crazy to think about. We still haven't even gotten into the extension. So you can either
Yikes.
cut him and pay him for these next 2 years if you make it a post June 1 cut. But then he's off the books after that when those cap hits keep going up.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you keep him, basically there's this 2-year lag. And so you can kind of either get it out of the way now or just keep holding on and say, like, yeah, 2028, 5 years from now, we're paying him
It's
that
a
full like
disaster.
60 million or whatever it is.
It's a troubling place. It's a troubling place.
There's a- yeah.
And I don't believe the Denver Broncos will ever tear down.
Teams just don't do that.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't happen because it just doesn't really
Well, and
work.
You talk about timelines. What's the other timeline here? Sean Payton's timeline.
Yeah.
He's not like
He's 59.
he's not here to coach till he's 70.
You wouldn't think.
I think that when he took this job, he thought, "Give me 5. I'll be here for 5 years and I'll win a Super Bowl."
Yeah.
So that timeline has to either add up with a rookie quarterback this year or Russ being that guy.
Yeah. And yeah.
I have like nothing bad to say about Russell Wilson this year.
No.
He hasn't done anything dumb in the media. He's out there playing hard. I mean, he did technically cause the momentum swing in the Commanders game.
He did.
The last 2 second halves, like he's accounted for like 3 points, I think.
Exactly.
But
But,
there's
at
been
the same time, you have those first halves that balance it out.
What I guess what I'm saying is
Not
the
ideal,
problems
but-
are so far and
The
beyond
totality.
Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are, which is why I see zero path, but I mean, call it what you
Should we
will,
just
but
end
I
the
would
podcast there?
I would flip over this roster one way or another, you know.
Yeah.
It does not seem to be working. I mean, that performance defensively was truly disgusting. The first 2 touchdown drives, the Dolphins don't face third down once. The longest third down they faced, you know, the starters at least in the first 3 quarters, was 3rd and 4. God. I think they faced 3rd and 4 twice and then 3rd and 1 2 other times. Don't even bother lining up on the field if that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
If you can't even compete on third down, if you can't even give yourself a chance, forget it. Like, you shouldn't have laced them up in the morning.
Yeah.
Just
They could have run the ball on every single play of the whole game.
It's insane.
Or thrown the ball on every single
Yeah,
play.
whatever you want. Whatever you want. But I mean, and the
They
other
could do whatever they wanted.
to me though, like
they didn't-
obviously you're trending toward it's just like a total teardown. It is kind of still too soon to actually like commit to it. Like, it is only week 3. Like, you're favored this week. You've got a game against the Jets the next week where since you're at home, you're probably favored.
Yep.
And it just 3 weeks in, it's hard to say for sure. And while it's tough to like, I don't know, the season isn't technically dead yet. Teams have come back from down 0-3 before.
Right.
Hope is absolutely dead. But like, you look through, I mean,
Yes.
1989 Steelers started 0-2, had a 51-0 loss, wound up winning a playoff game that year. You know, there's the Titans that started 0-6 with a 59-0 loss in 2009. Yeah, this was like, I don't know what to do with myself after this game. Like, what other horrible things have happened to teams? But they finished 8-8 after starting 0-6.
59-0?
With 59-0 against 2009 Patriots were pretty good.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, I mean, so there are like
Yeah,
a
the
couple
Broncos
of those
weren't exactly
examples.
playing the 2009 Patriots on Sunday.
No. Well, I mean, they certainly looked like it, but
Yeah,
again,
no,
it's too soon for any of that. But
Tua and Tyreek equal to Tom Brady and Randy Moss.
if you only showed me Sunday and you only showed me the best Tom Brady Randy Moss game, I would say yeah probably
those are pretty much the same.
yeah. But again, so I mean, you don't know for sure. You probably like. Oh, after these next 2 games, to me, is where you make like your decisions. Like, are you trading Justin Simmons? That's where that decision comes in. Like, do you think we're sitting here at 1-4? We think we can just ride this tank. This team isn't going to get it done. You might as well move on from him
Do you
and
have
see if you
the
can get anything else.
internal ability to watch what happened on Sunday without Justin Simmons and say like we should trade this guy?
But again, like, and I had this.
Kareem
tanking.
Jackson
Yeah.
felt
That's tanking.
about as essential in the second half of that Washington game, you know?
Well,
It's
I
like,
know, but like
that
how-
guy got ejected and the defense fell apart.
with all due respect to him, how on like the second or third play of the game does DTY lose sight of Tyreek Hill?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's horrible.
That's like I can only imagine the coaches were talking about number 10 the whole fucking week.
Yeah.
You should hope so. And yeah, it felt like they did not when you watched the game. It felt like the game plan was to let him run wild.
Yeah.
And that he was an unknown free agent,
Well, the crazy thing-
undrafted kid or something.
The game plan was to implement a 4-3 defense that week to find a way to get Drew Sanders on the field, which is just an insane thing to do. Like, you don't just all of a sudden say, yeah, we've run a 3-4 for more than a decade. Like, this is
you-
the week we go 4-3.
All your
you know-
edges are just
really quick,
it's
can you
insane,
imagine-
man?
If Jalen Waddle played that game,
The thing is,
How
like,
how
could
could
it
it
be
get
worse?
worse?
like,
Yeah.
and I think just because like things just
Faster,
play out
longer
differently, there's no way that it's that bad even. Like just because like if you were to
Right,
restart
right.
this game with a difference, there's no way that they can score 70
Jalen
again,
Waddle
right?
would have been the best defense the Broncos could have had. Yeah,
Yeah,
The
I don't-
only guy
Tua
who
would have
could
had to
slow
think a
down
little bit
Tyreek
more.
Hill
Exactly.
would have been Jalen.
Probably
Waddle.
don't run something
like,
like-
oh god, they're both so wide open. Who do I throw
Yeah,
to?
but I mean, it is
so
crazy.
the question on Miami Sports Talk is Jalen Waddle holding the Dolphins offense back?
Oh my goodness! Do you see the clip where like Skip Bayless has like his whole rant about how terrible the Broncos are, and one of the guys is like, I think it might have been Richard Sherman saying like, yeah, they didn't even have Jalen Waddle in that game, and Skip was like, what? Like, and
Oh,
he
he
just starts
didn't
like
even
looking
know.
around. Yeah, he didn't even know, which is he should probably know that,
Yeah.
but also insane and
doesn't-
yeah, it's just
doesn't know
crazy,
ball.
and that's
a
where
true, first of all, I love Mike McDaniel so much.
Yeah.
And he was my guy for a long time.
Yeah.
And then he just went and built a Madden team, and it's
Yeah.
so sick.
That's
and it's worked. He's 3 for 3 with it working this season.
He built like Jimbo's Florida State team.
Yeah.
This is
Give me the fastest player
This is
at every skill
insane.
position.
But yeah, like they had that last year and they fell apart that second half of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
we'll see. Like
because of Tua and
Yeah.
the running
And
back
it got-
health struggled.
Well, yeah, Tua did.
Totally.
I don't think
That's
the
a big
defense
part
was
of it.
nearly as good.
Yep.
Jalen Phillips has seemed to have taken, and Jalen Ramsey's on the bench for them as well. Jalen Ramsey's coming, man.
I mean,
And they've drafted well on that O-line. The O-line, I thought, played great for the. I mean,
it sure
who's going to
did.
disagree with me?
Yeah,
Like,
when
we
the running
could
back
ran
scored
through those
8
fucking
touchdowns,
holes, like,
tough to
come on.
argue that.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
it's fair to say the Broncos aren't going to the Super Bowl
observation.
this year. So give me Eagles, Dolphins.
Wow.
That would be sick.
It would be fun. Dolphins are fun to watch. Yeah, but for the Broncos, like that's the thing is like, yeah, just go get Caleb Williams, do those sorts of things. First of all, I've never thought that like tanking, losing a game intentionally, anything like that I've always said, terrible idea. You never, ever, ever do it. This is the first time where I've gotten to a point where like, okay, this team really is this bad. Maybe you do like, I'm like,
Do you
don't
subscribe
know.
at all to the conspiracies that Sean Payton was always planning on tanking?
there's no way.
I love it.
There's no
It's
way.
genius. I'd respect him so much.
Like
I'm
then-
ready to commit to it the way QAnoners can make
I knew
sense
you
of
were
the
going- I
world,
knew you were
right?
going
Wow.
Like I'm just blindly ready to accept that.
There's just no way.
Because it
makes you-
explains
helps
a
you
world
sleep
that
at night,
upsets
right?
me otherwise.
Like
Yes,
you can't
exactly.
tell the Broncos defense like, hey, just need you guys to go miss 23 tackles in this game.
No, you can't, but you can.
Right, those gaps don't just create. That's not coaching. Those gaps don't just happen.
You can make a really counterintuitive hire at defensive coordinator, and
Yeah,
you know,
but I mean,
Yeah,
if
no,
the
man,
number
I mean-
2 option last year was Rex Ryan, like that would have been more insane than Vance Joseph. Like that would be less intuitive. It's
mean-
Rex freaking Ryan. Like he's been on TV for a decade.
yeah, they could have worked a little harder to keep Evero.
Yeah, it did seem like he wanted out. I don't know. I don't know.
Brandon
Who
Fired
knows?
his
Marshall.
best friend after like
Yeah.
not even a full season.
The thing is, like they're just
Yeah, his best man.
Vic Fangio, they couldn't have backed up the Brinks trucks a little more for him.
They
I
should
don't
have
know.
interviewed McDaniel. Damn it!
They
So
should have
many
listened to
again.
me.
No, like
So many
he's not gonna
regrets.
he's not gonna
man.
turn Cortland Sutton into Tyreek Hill.
No,
you
but
know?
he traded for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
That is
could've
true. Maybe he was
traded
able to get the
division,
trade.
bro.
Chiefs would have never made that trade.
Genius.
I was on that. I was producing the pod when Ryan was during that coaching search, and I can confirm Mike McDaniel was like your dude from the beginning.
I
certainly
don't want
was.
to over credit myself, but I think I might have been the first person in America to say I wanted Mike McDaniel to be the head coach of my football team.
Yeah, not many in America we're talking about McD's. It's so what would your path forward be outside of a teardown?
I don't know.
Right. Okay. Well, fair enough. It's also fair. It's okay to say this is so fucked. I just don't know.
Like to me, tanking is the only thing that I could get excited over right now,
That is true. It is
Yeah.
the only thing people get excited
It's
about.
the only path I can see for.
and that's so sad. It's week 3.
Oh no, I know.
That's-
No,
yeah.
my thing is football in September isn't real.
I know.
Exactly.
Football, this
It
is
is-
crazy. We're overreacting over something.
Yes.
But then that happens, and I can't just sweep that under. I
No.
can't be like, oh, it's just September.
exactly.
Nothing to see here.
But like now you're going rock bottom talk. Now you're going against the Bears this week, who are a joke in their own right.
it's the toilet
Oh.
bowl of all toilet bowls.
Yeah.
But what's going to
They're
happen
terrible.
when you don't pressure Justin Fields? Because they can't get pressure on anyone.
I still think that guy stinks.
Well, no. Now
That guy just
I do
stinks at
think they
football.
could get pressure if they're not terrified that they're going to get run on.
Well, why wouldn't they be terrified of that? They can't stop anyone.
Well, because the Bears are so bad offensively, I don't think they scare you.
Okay, if
I
you're
was-
scared of the Bears,
If
I
even
just
the
think
Bears can run on you, I mean,
I just think there's a chance that
I really don't know, guys.
we could be having a rock bottom talk next week too.
the thing is, and that's what Zach has been saying on the podcast is like,
No, that's what I'm saying.
this
I
will
think
be-
there's a
this will be-
2-year window of rock bottom.
But
at the very best.
even if it's 70-20 again next week, this one's worse because this is the one where it's new. This is the one where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm hitting you in the face with the fact
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
Broncos just don't have it. Like, like maybe if it's 100-0, then you're like, oh, maybe this is rock bottom.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, well, we got to the second quarter and it was like 28 or 30-0, and
It's like
you're just
when
like, oh yeah, here we are again.
Awful things happen. The first one's the worst. Then we get a little desensitized and we can move forward.
That's why,
Yeah.
like there is
It's a terrible
there's-
condition.
It feels like there's no path forward.
Uh-huh.
And that's where like just the desperation combined with the 50-point loss.
Lose 70-20 to the Bears, though. There's a path forward. I mean,
This is one of the worst parts of being an adult. It's like you have to think about these things, like paths forward.
Yeah.
Like when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, the Broncos will win next Sunday. And like,
Exactly.
that's all that matters to you.
Yeah. And now, I mean, because
I've
that's what I
never
was
wanted them to win less.
even a week ago.
Sunday.
Like I still thought the best case scenario is, 0-2, you're probably not making the playoffs. You just accept that fact. But if you finish the season, say like you win 6 of your last 8 and finish 9-8, 8-9, something around there, you have some momentum. Then you're like the Lions next
To
year.
me, those
Or
0-2 stats they all bring up, that's based on a 16-game schedule.
Also true.
Like,
True.
We added a game. Like,
Totally. You have that opportunity, but you kind of have that like you still need to build toward the future. I'm not sure if like even a hot finish means you can justify saying like Russ is bringing you a championship in that window, and you still have that conversation about cutting him. But now you're at the point where it does feel like there's just no path forward. Like it's time to just say, yeah, we're trading Justin Simmons. Which again, last week I was totally against. Like me and Zach had this debate where it's like if you trade Justin
It's
Simmons
so
for
bad,
like
man.
even a first round pick, that first round pick's not going to be as good as Justin Simmons. Like it's just the odds of that happening are very slim. And the problem with this team more than anything is that you're lacking
Talent.
really good players, like all pro type players.
Yep.
So to get rid of one of those, or even like the Surtain trades, like trade him for 3 firsts, it's like, I guess maybe it's tempting. You're not getting a Surtain with any of those, and the lack of stars is the problem because you can't get stars in the NFL. Like they don't become free agents. But now you're just at this point where
What scares me though is like the difference between number 1 pick this year and like the number 2 pick is so vast.
it's true.
it's a great draft. Top 5's awesome.
And you're not the only team that might have the idea that they should lose.
Yeah.
Now, I will just say this.
We
No-
do see
more capable.
most
This
invested
always
in
comes
it,
up.
yeah.
No players are ever going to try to lose.
No.
But you take Justin Simmons off that defense, I simply don't know how they're going to stop anybody.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Caden Stearns is done. Like, PJ Locke will be back.
Okay.
And in small sample sizes, he was one of the best defenders last year on the team. But again, very small sample size. Like the game-winning forced fumble, that sort of stuff really helps that.
can't
But
come
again,
out.
like there's a chance that he doesn't play all that well. You put DTY out there as your third safety. You've got K'Wan Williams coming back, which will help. But you're still gonna have Damari Mathis on the boundary, rotate Riley Moss a little bit. Like that should be an issue all season, you would think, based on what we've seen so far.
Having a bad defense in the NFL is one of the most hopeless, helpless things ever. We've been so used to it for a while, but like, remember the early Peyton Manning years where they couldn't stop anyone, and it was just like, this sucks.
Again, and that's what I wrote after like, I can't remember if it was the first game or the second game. I think it was the second game, where it's like, yeah, everybody's complaining about bad and boring for 6 years. Here's the opposite. Here's the offense doing its thing, and the defense. Guess what?
No-
It doesn't really feel any better.
No one's talking about the fact that giving up 35 points to Sam Howell's Commanders might be worse than giving up 70 points to the Dolphins.
No.
Yeah.
To me, that second half is a bigger indictment
yeah.
than anything.
Yeah.
Because for years I've been like, well, you're not considering that they're playing from behind all the time. The
Yep.
team looks a lot different when you're not playing from. And then, holy shit, you had a 20-point lead.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
DraftKings Sportsbook. We're back for another week of football. Maybe you're a fade the Broncos guy.
Oof.
Who knows? I've had such good feel, Hank, on my college football picks.
Ooh. Oh my.
Such
oh.
good feel. Such good feel. NFL, not good feel right now.
Yeah.
Not good feel.
Back-to-back weeks. My stepped up parlay came down to the final leg.
You did it to him?
So the week before it was the Arkansas BYU game where BYU came out on top. This week it was so the second to last leg finished at the beginning of the fourth quarter of the Minnesota game. Minnesota's up 14-0, start of the fourth quarter. They blow it and lose in overtime. So I've been so close back-to-back weeks on that going through, but the last leg.
Hank will get there once
it.
and for all. We
Yep.
know it.
I'm due.
And if you're a new user, bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL. That's when you use code DNVR. That's our code exclusive to you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casinos Resort, Kansas. Licensed partner Golden Nugget. Lake Charles in Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario, of course. See sportsbook.draftkings.com betdn.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
I don't know if I've won a game or won a bet since Nebraska, but I won so much on TCU and Nebraska that I'm good.
It's truly wonderful. We're so happy about it. And I know you guys are really happy to be at Folsom Field this Saturday watching. Who's coming down? Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
Is he of interest to Broncos fans, perchance?
He is.
You think crazy. Sean Payton will be in attendance?
Dude. I mean, that's why you're going, right, Hank? As a Broncos reporter, you're going to do some scouting. Potentially the best quarterback in this draft against the best quarterback in next year's draft. And that's why Trojans coming to Folsom is our game time game of the week. Game time. They
only way you can
are
get
the
tickets.
best. It's the only way you can get tickets because they're sold out for the whole season.
Yep.
Right now, cheapest you can get, I think, is in the $340 range.
Really?
You got any tips, Ryan?
You should have got season tickets.
I tried. I got denied.
Oh, that's true. Well, you're not a Buffs fan.
No, there you go. Go Buffs.
They're trying
That's
to keep people like you out.
I'm not sure if I'm the one they're
game
looking
time,
for.
game of the week. Download the
311
Game
you can get in
Time
for right now.
app, create an account, and use that code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off.
Also,
I would wait as
currently
True tip
$2 tickets for the Rockies game tonight.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, that's a good deal.
Flash deal $1.
That's not our game of
You
the
could buy
week.
150
No, but
tickets
you
to
could
that
have-
game for the price of one ticket to see
Wow.
USC.
Wow.
I actually think you could buy 300.
I would just get the USC ticket.
No, 311 is the cheapest in. He said $2, right?
No, there's flash deal $1.
Deal $1.
Oh, so you can buy 311 tickets.
Yep.
Wow. Still go to that USC game. I'm so upset I can't go.
Wait,
That
why
would be
aren't you-
awesome. Chicago.
Oh, yeah. You go
Yeah.
to the Shy.
I thought we got you a flight later so that you could go.
But I had already
That
had to
sounds
turn
like
down
it.
the ticket because I knew that I was leaving for Chicago.
Damn you,
Yeah.
Chi-Town.
Yep.
It's all
We
right,
better
dude.
lose.
Just go to Johnny's
We
Beef
better
and you'll
lose.
feel so
Johnny's
much better.
Beef.
Yeah,
There we
Johnny's
go.
Beef.
JOHNNIE. Don't, not the Y. You need to go to the IE Johnny's.
Why? They just need different names there. That's not a good strategy.
Well, when you name every restaurant after just a guy,
yeah, we'll go by
a
John.
lot of the
then.
names are going to get taken.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough.
It's like in
Fair
The
enough.
Office. I wish I could remember. Alfredo's Pizza. Yeah.
Whoa.
Or Pizza by Alfredo.
Pete.
There we go. Yeah, there
That's
we go.
really good. That's
Yeah.
really good.
So good.
Great callback.
I love that show.
Talk some Buffs. You guys got more Broncos in you?
No, let's go Buffs.
Really? Let's go Buffs. Yeah. Magical first 4 weeks of the season in Boulder, I'd say.
First three were certainly magical.
They were.
Yeah, last week a little rough in Eugene, Oregon.
It was rough.
So, Ryan, what do you make of it all?
That's your tee up for me?
Yeah.
What do I make of it all?
What do you make of it all?
I just did 2 reads. I'm navigating through your Broncos thoughts. Like this one, you talk about it every day. I'm not giving you some elaborate.
Yeah. We were just talking about great quarterbacks, and then you just threw me a hospital ball. Anyways, I mean, from a perspective standpoint, which is what everyone needs in this life,
Wow. We are big perspective
it
guys.
has been unbelievable. Everything has been bigger and better than you could have ever expected. The ratings are off the charts. The sales are off the charts. Every game is sold out. The fans are re-energized. There's new fans popping up every single day.
Wow.
Because everything got so big so fast, the loss to Oregon feels like this big thing that happened.
Well, what's crazy is for a second, even I had a moment of like, well
exactly.
going into the Saturday, maybe they're like Cam Newton's Auburn.
Yeah.
Like maybe they really are this team that like wasn't in a bowl last year and just found the quarterback and out of nowhere are like, or TCU last year.
Yes,
You know,
TCU
like
last year is a perfect example.
that true Cinderella type story that can only happen in college football.
And we as humans are naturally prisoners of the moment. So we all had that thought. If you're rooting for Colorado, you had that thought of, okay, well, if they could beat Oregon, they can beat a USC. And if they can do that, they can beat anyone.
This was the one.
Truly,
this was like
everything's in front of you. Yeah.
I have the bet on them to win the Pac-12, and I I was like, wow, I might make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, and you go through and you're just like, hey, you won all 3 of these games. Maybe those were legit. Maybe TCU is still good. Maybe Nebraska isn't the worst Power 5 team. Maybe like Colorado State, like they're frisky, you know, and then they go beat Middle Tennessee State. But
Nebraska
yeah.
had a good
Nebraska-
win, and TCU had a
TCU's 3-1.
great win
Yep.
against SMU. I
And if you-
mean, who
yeah.
some people thought was going to be frisky and upset them. That's what's funny is I think people have overreacted to the Oregon game, which I get it. It was a really tough loss.
To me, it was just a take a step back game
Yeah.
and realize what the expectations were for this team. You know, and I've been sharing little clips and stuff that I just have saved of things people were saying before the season. You know, there were like Cover 3, the biggest college football podcast, had them starting 0-3.
very tough non-conference.
You know, Mike
schedule.
Farrell had them said that 3-9 is their best case scenario. So it's one of those games where you take a step back and you say, okay, what are we looking at here? What are we talking about here? This team is so far ahead of schedule on what they could have been and what a lot of people thought they should have been that you just have to take that one and just rinse it away and say, of course they lost to Oregon at Oregon. I think Oregon at Oregon has won 27 of their last 28 games in that stadium.
Especially in conference. That's just such a tough matchup, man. Like, you don't come to Eugene and come away with a dub on
Yep.
quite often.
It just would have been nice to see him play a competitive game.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's where, because it's the same thing that's happened. I mean, I started watching 2019 when I first started covering the Buffs, and I think that game was like 45-3 or something like that. And I think this is like the 4th time that they played since I got here. And every single time they play Oregon, it's the same thing. You go to Oregon, they just beat your ass, and then you come back. And that's what was so disappointing is you go into that game thinking,
yeah.
if you can just keep up with Oregon, like if you beat Oregon, all of a sudden, like you're saying they should win the Pac-12.
Yeah.
This is the toughest game for them. But if they can at least keep up, then you say, okay, they can keep up. That means they'll have a good chance against Utah.
Yep.
It means like USC you're in really good shape for at home. And so to go from that to, oh, this is the same Buffaloes team from the past, 3-4 years is just what's such a killer.
But it's not. It's
Yeah.
definitely not. That game is like a massive overcorrection, in my opinion. Things went really wrong for them. They didn't have their best player.
True.
Like it's a really like no hater
They
or
didn't
whatever you
have
want to
their
call
two
them.
best players. It just so happens that those two players are in
same
one
player.
human being's body.
Yep. And so no one wants to hear that on Twitter because they got their ass beat.
Yeah.
But it makes a huge difference in terms of what you're talking about in terms of covering the spread or just being in the game. Could have been different if they had their best player out there.
It's possible.
I don't think they're going to win. He's
No.
not a 36-point difference maker.
Torrey Franklin isn't cooking them the way he was.
Yeah.
And the offense maybe gets a little rhythm. I think that's more concerning than the defense. Honestly, it's the offense and lack of rhythm that they've had the last 2 weeks. And
yes.
how much some pretty good defensive fronts have put in a bind for 2
and even going back to the
consecutive weeks.
Nebraska game.
Yeah,
Like they
it's a good point.
struggled to
Start.
get
Good
anything
point.
going at the
It's a
beginning
good
of
point.
that game too.
Well, then you forget. I mean, the TCU game, like they have 2 interceptions in the red zone. Like,
And here's what I'll point
there was
to.
no-
The TCU game, they go out there, they force them 3 and out, and then I think they go on like a 12-play drive down the field.
Buffs do.
Yep. Pick them apart. In these games that you're talking about them with their slow starts, their no rhythm, they haven't had like 12 plays in the first half. And so what happens is,
Been very hard to sustain momentum.
the rhythm, you never get an early rhythm like you did in TCU. I mean, Shedeur is cooking by like his 4th throw of the game. He's already feeling himself. He's in his bag. Since then, they haven't had a good first offensive series. And because of that, they're not getting that early rhythm. So I don't think that's my concern is, hey, you just find a way to start fast. What's your script? Call up Kyle Shanahan. Let's put together a great script for this game so that Shedeur can get some early rhythm.
Or
and
Boulder's
feeling.
own Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, there you go. Or Mike Shanahan lives in Colorado. But you know what I mean? Like, you got to get that early momentum. I just think it was a clear. It's a step back game and zoom out game.
Yeah.
They're not ready for that yet. Coach Prime told us they weren't ready for that indirectly by saying, I need 7-8 more dogs. When he said that, he wasn't saying we're going to lose to Oregon directly, but he was saying, I need 7 to 8 more dogs to be able to compete at the level that everyone wants us to compete at.
And I think you saw how good the starters were. Now that, a few guys are missing, your starting center might not be 100%. Travis Hunter's a huge loss on both sides of the ball. Some of these guys haven't quite been developed, quite up to speed, and you're having to throw them in. Cormani's even getting some reps by the end of the game, and coach has told us he's not ready.
Yeah.
That's year one stuff.
Oh,
Where,
yeah.
we haven't had time to fully develop, to fully build up our depth. These guys have only been in our program for 5 months.
Some of them, yeah.
So it's that there is an adjustment. Now, I think this can still be a team that has 3 wins in the books and could aspire to 6, 7
I do too.
wins, right? And I mean, still be getting top 25 votes, and 8, 9 wins might end the season ranked in the top 25.
They're in
So
my
what's the path? And also, how does Shedeur survive? Because that's my biggest
Yeah.
concern is 2 weeks from now, Shedeur, all the hits add up. Shedeur's not playing. And with another quarterback, this is going to feel and look a little too much like last year.
I completely agree. And I was just about to say
And that I can't have. I need Arizona State. I need Stanford. I need these wins. I need to get into November and give a shit about bus football. That would be really nice.
and I think you will, as long as they keep him healthy.
Yeah.
To me, this is like a survival game. Now, I think,
USC next week.
yeah, I think that Colorado. I think what you're going to have happen is everyone overcorrects on Colorado, right? And now everyone's saying, oh, they're going to lose by 40 to USC. Now they're at home. It's a lot different than being on the road. I think that this game will look different than last week. But
Yeah.
at the same, in the same sense, after this, you get Arizona State, you get Stanford, you get UCLA, and then, you go into that home stretch. But it's like, to me, this team, because of Shedeur, will be in every game that they aren't as outclassed as they were by Oregon. Oregon obviously had equal or better talent at almost every position, and it showed, especially in the trenches, and especially without Travis Hunter on the field.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like you got to keep Shedeur around to play Arizona State, who you might end up being favored against, or it's going to be a close line.
I'd expect them to.
Stanford, that's some would say the easiest game on the schedule.
Stanford's
Including
awful.
Colorado
It is
State.
Yeah.
by far Stanford. They barely beat Hawaii, man.
They lost
Oh,
to
yeah.
Sac State. Yeah,
Stanford
Oh, yeah.
is easily worse than Colorado State.
So then you get UCLA. UCLA, they're 3-1
freshman
just like
quarterback.
you. Freshman quarterback. So you know what I mean? Like, get through this one. Hopefully build a little bit of momentum offensively. Find a way to protect Shedeur. Do whatever you have to do. Leave 2 tight ends in and, hope that Jimmy Horn and Zay Weaver can go win one-on-ones for you or one-on-twos. But
truly, man.
you got to protect him, and then Shedeur will keep you in every game. He really will.
Cannot disagree. Future feels very bright. I'm really excited to see the rest of the way. USC at Utah, the 2 games that scare me.
And like 0 people before the season would have picked them to win those games.
Yep.
No, it was 3.5 was the win total.
Yes.
3.5.
Yep. I think 6, 7. From the start, I've said 5 to 7.
I know. And that's where I went on the Buffs podcast this summer, and everybody was all pissed at me. I was like, yeah, I think fringe bowl team definitely hit the win over, and I don't know. That's what was so crazy to me is that
It just depends on who you're talking to, though.
yeah, yeah.
Fans are going to expect their team to win every game.
Yeah. And that's where I was too, and that's what was so disappointing. All week, I'm going to Broncos practice, and Alex Forsythe is in there, who was their center, Oregon center for the last 3-4 years. We're talking about it, he's saying I think Oregon has it. I really hope so. I'm not sure if the defense will hold up. I think offensively they should be able to score a lot of points. And it's right there with them. Talking to Will Sherman, former Buff, who's pissed at me for saying I think Oregon probably wins 42-38, something like that. But that's where we were a week ago. Is Oregon fans scared of this game. Colorado fans upset that somebody would say, oh, they're not probably going to win this one. And to go from that to back right here, where it's I think, every Pac-12 game is going to be a challenge. Where they fit into the Pac-12 I don't really have a strong opinion. Like if they wind up right behind like Utah and USC is like the clear like maybe number 4 behind Oregon 2 in the conference, I would be like, yeah, it makes sense. If they wind up like in front of Stanford but not many other teams, that also wouldn't be a huge surprise at this point. To me, it's almost like there's just this fresh start. I have no idea where they fit in.
I think, but you're also forgetting that Travis Hunter will be coming back.
That is true.
Also, how they stack up against the middle class of the Pac-12, forget Arizona or Arizona State and Stanford, but, Arizona, Oregon State, Washington State, UCLA even. Those feel like really nice tests. Washington, thank God they do not play. Washington's unbelievable this year.
But now that Caleb Williams will be off the schedule, when Travis Hunter comes back on the field, he'll be the best player on the field in every game.
That is true.
And that can win you games, especially when you have a quarterback.
Yeah. It's just the part that stinks about college football where
that's true.
Like I know the expectations are what they were. You want them to like go to a bowl game. And that's obviously a huge step in the right direction because they've been to 2 in the last like decade. But at the same time, it's like, damn it, they aren't going to do it. Like the Cinderella run is kind of just that part of it is over, which is a shame.
Unless they go win this week.
Yeah, one loss
that is
would
true.
do
The
it.
party's
back
One
on.
loss
That is
would
true.
do it.
You can get by with one loss.
Well, and styles make fights. Like Oregon concerns me, USC concerns me less. Like I think they're both kind of more finesse teams. Oregon was
Exactly.
Oregon looked a lot like Georgia.
Yep,
like a power
definitely.
football team. That was great.
That might be the real thing we learned is that Oregon is like legit. Because they have the talent to compete with anybody.
And I've always said that, and I should have thought about this more last week, but I was caught up in the excitement too.
They look bad against Tech, man.
The older your quarterback is, the better you are in college.
Do you think
Bo Nix is in year 6?
Great point.
True.
Great point.
He is so seasoned to be able to go and know exactly what he's looking at in every game. Like, not a lot of teams. I mean, look, Max Duggan last year was super old. Having an old quarterback in college who also happens to be really talented like Bo Nix will take you a long way.
It's like an old point guard in college hoops.
Yeah,
Totally.
That's the other thing. That's the only thing that concerns me long term about the Buffs. It's just like Shedeur. How long does he stick around? Like, hopefully it's for next year too. But then after that, you have to figure out like
Bryce Underwood was in the building.
What?
Bryce Underwood, number 1 quarterback in the country, was
Yeah,
there.
You
That's
gotta
nice.
recruit. I
That's
mean, you
nice.
gotta reload and keep at it. I see you looking at some odds. I would love to come back to that.
Oh, okay.
But the future's so bright. Shady Rays in the house.
Yes.
Obviously, with all these live games these guys are going to, beautiful Colorado sun. Hank's going out to Chi-Town this weekend
Yes.
to watch the Toilet Bowl.
I remember.
You scout Caleb Williams
Yeah. So I had some of my friends came up for the CU Arizona game.
from Montana.
Yeah, like
Sunny area as well.
a couple years ago. And that was called like the pillow fight of the week by ESPN because it was when both teams were terrible. And now those friends in particular just don't have any interest in going to CU games because of that horrible experience. They actually wound up choosing to go to the Broncos Raiders game over CU Nebraska.
Oh, tough.
Same price for tickets,
choice.
like
Oh
just
my gosh.
insane to do. But because of that, they were
Wow.
just like scarred. I forget where that plays in.
Sad. Shady Rays, though, can make
Oh,
even a
Toilet Bowl.
terrible experience like the Toilet Bowl that Henry's friends came to attend
And we'll be going to this weekend.
more bearable. I love Shady Rays. I have like 6 pairs. They're like actually good glasses. They have great lenses, and they are half the price of designer sunglasses while being the same exact quality. Use that code DNVR, and you will get 50% off 2+ pairs. That's 50% off already insanely cheap designer quality glasses. I love Shady Rays. Such a great deal for our listeners when they use code DNVR for 20% off 2 pairs of polarized glasses. Try it for yourself. Shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Great customer care. They'll take care of you. And of course, the homies at Breckenridge Brewery, Broncos country. They need like a Buffs beer. But I always enjoyed the good Broncos country. It's one of those where, like by the 3rd Broncos country I'm having, it's going down so nice.
Yep.
It
Also,
just
you're
hits the
buzzing.
spot so good, and you are feeling it, which we might need a little more this Broncos season than others.
True.
Not Henry.
Yeah.
He's in the press box.
Yeah.
That is true.
He's doing
I should get
hard-hitting analysis.
I actually haven't been drinking for a Broncos game yet, even though I haven't been working either.
Right. Broncos
I
country.
need to
man.
rewire myself.
Breckenridge Brewery, they're doing amazing, amazing stuff. Check them out. Breck Brew, beer locator, as always.
I should go to that Jets game. Just get tore up.
Yeah, that's gonna be an ugly one. To me, that's the last one before you like. That's the one where you really learn. Like, is the Broncos team like awful, like number 1 pick, or are they like, they're like number 24 in the league?
I mean, we'll find out this week too.
We'll find out this week too. You got this 2 week stretch.
These are big weeks. I don't know if I can even do it, guys.
Yeah.
I might be too old for like, oh, let's tune into Broncos Jets to see who's really
Okay, so
absolute ass, you know?
that's a crazy thing because Vic Lombardi went on a Twitter rant the other day about how like when I grew up in North Denver,
Saw it.
Uh-huh.
I saw
everyone
it.
was in the house for the Broncos game.
I feel the same
Yeah.
way sometimes. Yeah.
Me too. And then there was like a big pushback on him that was like, Vic, like people should be able to do whatever they want with their time.
Yeah.
Don't shame them into watching the Broncos, which like, sure, you're right. I literally cannot imagine at all, no matter how bad the Broncos were, doing anything else on a Sunday.
The only Bronco game that I've missed was a Drew Lock game against the Chargers when I was in Boulder for a soccer game. I was like, I gotta go cover the soccer game. Like,
I think he went off that game, bro.
That might have. I think so. There was something that happened in that game. But
Comeback?
that's like
Was that the
Oh,
crazy
the
comeback
comeback,
game?
yeah.
I
Maybe-
watched that game at the Lakewood office with Dre, and we had some wild takes after
I had
that game.
COVID.
That might have been at the Texans game, Kale.
Oh, the Texans game. That was Drew's first start.
Texans game was
That-
Yeah.
Maybe the most
That
fun
ca-
Broncos game.
Oh, the
With the
vibes off
post-Peyton
that
Manning.
game carried me for 14 months, probably. Like,
Yeah.
oh man,
yeah.
Texans will
350
always have the
yards,
Texans
4
game.
touchdowns.
I think that's like the
Trevor
only
Siemian's
game I missed in my
Cowboys
life, though.
performance. That's crazy, bro.
Like, I think so.
And that's what I mean. Like, I
Yeah.
understand this idea of like you shouldn't
Yeah.
be a prisoner to your team just because
Yeah,
but, like,
I mean-
I just personally cannot relate to like being like, oh yeah, I'll take you up on that tea time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't shame anybody at this point for not
No.
wanting to watch, but
I can't relate to it whatsoever.
I couldn't do it.
yeah, no, it's how we build out our Sundays.
Exactly. It's how we build out our weeks,
Yeah,
our
no,
months,
I mean-
our lives.
The Buffs the same thing. I mean, the Buffs have been
Yeah.
at times the worst college program. I was at a party in college when they played Fresno State and we're down 35-0 after the first quarter.
Oh God.
And I watched the whole game alone on the couch at the party. Like I just don't know how to not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. It's great and it's sad. And yeah, I mean, what were you looking at, Hank? Tell us a little bit about these Pac-12 conference odds. Then I'll talk some Rams.
So
real
I
quick.
just pulled up the. Wait, did you say talk some Rams?
yeah.
Oh God.
What? I didn't agree to that.
They just beat Middle Tennessee
You guys
State.
gotta look at these rundowns I sent you.
You sent me a rundown?
Yeah, I did.
Where?
In Slack. It's
Yeah, so
how
I was
we
looking at national
communicate.
championship odds. Oregon's 20-1.
Hell yeah.
But
Here
in
it
terms
is.
of
You did.
the Pac-12,
Uh-huh. I'm gonna.
Du-du-du-du-du.
I need to nibble something.
USC plus
Away from the
240,
microphone,
Washington
please.
plus 250, Oregon plus 260, Utah plus 600, kind of crazy. Colorado plus 8,000.
Yeah, Utah is actually a good value. Washington hammer away. Washington's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. It's such a shame. I could have cashed out my CU Pac-12 title bet
Uh huh.
for like a solid gain,
Uh huh.
but now that opportunity is gone.
That ship sailed for
It
you.
has,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're no longer inclined to get you.
Goodbye,
out of that bet.
$15.
Yeah. Yeah. As you guys alluded to, the Rams. I did want to talk about some Rams. I think they found their quarterback, and I think they'll actually be competitive in a wide open Mount West, which is super fun and cool because not talking about 3-win Rams teams is going to be really nice. And also, since you guys seem a little lukewarm to the idea about this, how do you feel about this fun proposal of promotion relegation in a Pac-2 Mountain West merger plus the Dakotas? Huh? Have you heard about this?
First of
I
all,
would continue
I'm
to
just
not
gonna
watch.
throw you a little bone here. Quarterback looks legit.
No, BFN's awesome.
Good for him. It does bring up some
Really
questions about Jay Norvell, why he didn't start the first game of the season. But hey, you know, You learn from your mistakes and fix them.
Clay Millen's like the all-time 7-on-7 quarterback. I could get how in a practice setting, Clay threw you off.
Huh.
Yeah.
Clay threw Jay. There's a little Clay J. You know, the names are.
He transferred with him from Nevada.
Right.
All that stuff. Anyways, that was just my thing. I was like, how did he not start week 1?
Yeah.
Anyways, promotion
Man,
relegation.
wazoo.
That sounds fun.
It does, right?
Will never work.
Yeah.
Wet. So it would only work in football, obviously.
You mean football, like English soccer?
No. For these programs that would be joining this crazy league.
You couldn't do it for all the teams.
The other sports, they just have to be in the like.
Sorry, soccer team. Like
In the like, you're just
Football team lost.
Football team
like,
sucks. You're going down.
Like
have
soccer
fun in
team,
North Dakota.
Soccer team, you just compete in the
Get ready to learn Chinese.
in the Pac Mount West. In the Pac Mount West. But where football makes sense is, I mean,
Is that Sacramento State?
could they wiggle an auto bid out of this? Because at least your top tier conference, it's based on it's based on performance. Who's up there? So winning the Pac-2 would have a little more value,
No.
right?
They cannot get an auto bid out of this.
I think they need to get rid of the auto bids altogether. Like I get
12-team playoffs. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, so it's 12-team playoff, and it's supposed to be like the
Still will have auto bids.
the Power Fives get auto bids, and then there's one
Power
more
four.
But
spot.
the Power 4 now.
So they change that. Is that how
Well,
it works?
Well, no,
But see,
we
that's the
haven't
thing.
figured that out yet.
But
That's what
see,
I'm saying.
exactly.
It's like,
But
if
so-
I'm
so-
the Pac-2, I would be like, hey, we're already sorting this out, making sure the best of the best is up top with us.
Definitely. But see, that was my point all along, was that like just don't do the auto bids. Just say like top 6 conference champions. Like open it up because
The
there's
highest ranked.
exactly.
I like that.
And, like that makes sense. And they decided
Top 6 conference champions, and then the other 6, it's like free for all.
exactly. And so initially they decided against that because like I think it was because like the fringe conferences were like, well, we're not voting for it then. And so they decided that it's actually just the Power 5 plus there's like the extra. But now that all of this has happened in the past like 2 years since they decided that,
Revisit.
it kind of makes sense just to say, you conferences go do whatever the hell you want. Like take whatever teams you want. Top 6 champions get to come in.
I like it. Or you could do top 5 or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense to me because I hate when a team, you know, like we've been going back and forth with UCF fans since the Buffs joined the Big 12
Oh,
Why?
Yeah. Gus Malzahn.
because they're in there too now, and like I don't know, they're a chirpy little fan base.
UCF's great.
But I hate when a team like UCF doesn't get an opportunity because
Oh yeah.
of their affiliation, like when they were undefeated.
Yep.
Like I wanted to see what would happen. Let them play Alabama. Let's see.
When they were undefeated and beat Auburn, the only team that beat the national champion Alabama. You mean
Yeah.
that season?
Yes,
They're my national
I
champion.
hated that they didn't get
The
an
People's
opportunity.
National.
They're exactly. They're the national champion UCF.
They actually
whatever they
have
are.
that national championship up in their stadium.
Oh, I believe it. Like
That's
they made
crazy.
shirts and stuff. I have friends who
the
bought
shirts.
shirts.
I thought we were
What
doing
are
the
they?
shirts as a bit.
What
No,
kind of
no.
knights are they? They're golden,
Golden.
knights?
No,
Oh,
that's how
okay.
college
That
football
makes
works.
sense.
You get to just claim national
No,
championships.
that is not how it works.
That's
Yeah,
how it
dude,
works
for sure.
Okay, well the Buffs should just put every year up.
But that would their claim to the actual natty.
Fair.
They can't do that.
They won the national championship. So
They did.
No one's saying they didn't. But even there, some say a share. You know, it's contentious, Ryan. It's
I know,
contentious.
but UCF doesn't get to put that in their
Yes, they do. Yes, they
UCF
do.
doesn't.
They
No,
absolutely
no
do.
fucking way.
They
No,
didn't
I mean,
lose.
truth
You get
be-
to claim that. Oh
No,
yeah.
it's sad, but truth be
Oh,
told,
the
those
voters said they're not good.
those other
Hell with the
like
voters.
those other claims.
Anyways, I
it's-
wanted them to be able to
It's
play.
split polls.
They should have been in the playoff just so we could have known for sure.
Yeah.
So
they should have.
I want a team like that to get in and you know make
Well,
sure
there's
that they
going to
have
be a
the opportunity.
G5 auto bid. Could the Mount West be the, a real front runner for that G5 auto bid with this promotion relegation?
Maybe if they
setup?
get the Pac-12 teams to join the Mountain West and just call that a G5 conference.
Also,
They could.
isn't
yeah.
there a path for Washington State and Oregon State just to be their own like 2-team conference for a few
2
years and
years, yeah.
rake in cash?
Yeah.
That seems like the real move. Because
Wait,
I'm pretty sure.
Isn't that Pac-12 deal up? How would they be raking cash in?
I don't think
Oh,
they
maybe
would
not.
rake in cash, but they would get to make their own schedule.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you got to find like a TV partner.
Yeah, but you still
Someone will
have.
take them.
It's like you
Oh.
could go off and do your own Broncos podcast. You just wouldn't have our sales team helping you sell ad space on that podcast.
It's the payouts from the NCAA tournament shares, because those are spread out over 6 years. So for all of the appearances over the last 6 years, that money's still going to be on the way. I think it's like whatever, it's like $2 million or so per game that the Pac-12 played. That's cut into sixths, which is then divided into twelfths, but now into halves.
Wow.
So it's a surprisingly large amount of money, though.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
And they could probably get a streaming deal with like Apple TV or something, just to play
I
their
wonder.
games.
Yeah.
It'd be
wonder-
really
yeah.
low, but I just
It'd be better than Mountain West money. Because they get what, like 1.5 a year from their TV deal?
is that it?
It might be even
No,
less.
I think it's a little more than that.
I don't think it is.
I think it is.
I'm fine with the national championship shirts. It's just putting it up in the stadium crosses the line for me.
They believe
Responding
it,
to-
Ryan. They believe it.
I don't think they actually do, but they're leaning into the fact that they believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
They don't think they were gonna beat Alabama.
it's
that
like
year.
when I'm using slang that I'm actually mocking by using it, but then it becomes such a part of my parlance that I end up using regularly the slang that
Yes.
I was originally mocking.
Or it's like when you just lie for so long that you forget that you're lying.
Right. My lying bits too. Sometimes I forget what the truth is and what the lie is. It's like that. It's a bit that's the bit has just become reality.
I'm pretty sure that was like Tua and Jerry Jeudy,
They're
Alabama.
just great bitsmen.
Do you know how many teams are in the
Yeah.
Mountain West?
Yeah. I do. Hold on.
Okay.
10.
10?
Yeah.
So then each gets $4.5 million a year.
Yeah, good for them.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Solid. I'd take it.
I think that Washington State could probably get more than that. Just
I think so,
solo
too.
deal with like Sling.
I think so. Maybe not Sling.
I don't think there's hot money right now. Wow. Well, this was a joy.
We're
A
done? Is it
pleasure.
It's over?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, didn't
yeah.
feel like we ended.
No.
Kale slacked
I guess
me,
I'm out,
Kale slacked me a couple of minutes ago that we'd done 58, so I figured, yeah, why not?
Cool. Well,
I feel like we
No, I'm out of
exhausted
thoughts,
that.
yeah.
We exhausted that topic. You guys talked Broncos. A little meat sandwiched in there on the buffs. Great times.
Let's go.
did
Yeah.
you know that like people who eat a lot of protein die sooner?
Wow, that checks out.
Yeah,
I
so
should,
next
Is
time we
that
have a
not
s-
everyone?
I should slow it down.
But
probably.
like it's like there's like the meat diet. Like those are like, oh no, you're dying like real young. But then like the vegetarian,
Yeah,
like